Hey there guys, welcome back to Martin Harman Art TV. So in this video I'm going to talk about my life as an artist working in the UK, and hopefully I'm just doing it so hopefully it can shed a bit more light to people who are watching this video who are kind of looking at my art and kind of wondering a bit more about the inspiration behind my art and my kind of experiences living and working as a visual artist in the UK. So let's get to this. Yeah, so I mean, don't mind me if I keep looking down at my notes again. I find this just really helps me to keep the videos on track and focused. Yeah, so first of all, I'm going to talk about how I was introduced to art. So I was introduced to art, funny enough, back at school, like so many years ago. Back then, they had a ceramic studio with the kilns, potter's wheel, clay. They had the fine art facilities there, and it was back then. And I really was just drawn to the arts, and I was really drawn to ceramics, clay work, and painting, and all that kind of artistic kind of ventures. I was just drawn to it. I was just really hooked to it, and it was the only thing I really gravitated to. Back then I was terrible at maths, English, science, all those kind of other academic kind of subjects that were all kind of thrown upon at that kind of age. And I was just, that was the only thing I gravitated to, and I just was drawn into it, and I just stuck with it. It just got me on the hook. So I continued that. I continued studying art through to college and university, and then on to an MA in Cardiff. So I studied my ceramics as a Master of Arts, as an MA. And then I was just really kind of homing in on ceramics, because it was a material that I just really wanted to pursue further. And yeah, since completing my MA in ceramics, I just continued developing my own artistic voice, really. Just taking a drink from one of my mugs that I created. I sometimes take these to different markets around the UK. So yeah, since completing my MA, I just continue to focus on ceramics, focus on clay as a medium to create artworks. So I've been doing that to this day, really, and I would describe my work as being very contemporary, abstract, surreal. I still work in clay with ceramic sculpture, but I also create paintings, merchandise, things like pottery, because pottery in itself is a skill that I also kind of shift into my ceramic sculptures. But there's a lot to talk about, and I don't want to talk about too much because it really just drag on. But the premises, the inspiration behind my work, comes from looking at Stonehenge, stone circles in the UK, because they're places full of mystery, and to this day no one really knows its kind of purpose. And I find this question mark just really fascinates me, because I also want to shift these ideas into my own work. I like people to bring their own imagination to it. And so that helps to inspire my work, but also personal experiences in life. That also feeds into my work, the way I see the world and what's happening around me. Some of that feeds into my work. So my life as an artist living in the UK is pretty interesting. I really enjoy being an artist, because one of the things I like to do is, when I can, go traveling and doing artist residencies. So I've been lucky to be invited to do residencies in places like Hungary, Germany, Lithuania, and places like those. And they really focus me to open up my eyes to new ideas and explore different ways of working. So that's one aspect to my life as living as an artist in the UK, is being able to, travel out and explore different things and work in other countries. And then when I come back to the UK, that inspires me then to think about new artworks and ways of working and different ideas, because each country has their own culture, their own way of life, their own way of doing things and ideas with that, which is very different from living and working in the UK. Yeah, and as an artist living and working in the UK, I often create my own exhibitions so I like to find different venues where I can display my own artworks and put on shows. It's hard work. It's a lot of detail that gets involved, but there's a kind of liberty and freedom in curating your own show and putting your work there, putting my work out there for people to see in real life. So that's something that I often do as well as an artist living and working in the UK. And I also participate in exhibitions, both internationally and within the UK. And for me, this is just a way to get my work out there into different places and to get it be seen, which is also very interesting as well. I don't do it as much as I probably used to, but I still like to get it out there into different spaces, because I realised everyone has a different way of looking at art depending on where you're based in the world, and everyone's got their own tastes and styles of appreciation depending on where you're based in the world. So I find that's really fascinating. And then from there, it's also been interesting, and I'm very thankful to see my work in private and public collections, both in the UK and internationally as well. And that's what I love about being, a maker, an artist, a creative person, is that you get to travel. Well, in some cases, like for me, talk about my own experience, I get to see lots of different things. I'm lucky to sometimes have the opportunity to travel into different places, or to see my work travel into different places within the UK and outside of the UK. And it's just fascinating, because the world is such a big place, in some way quite a small place, but it's really fascinating just to see the work get out there into different spaces. So it's interesting, in this video I've been talking about living and working in the UK, but after kind of talking about it, I realised that in some way the UK is like a base for me to create the art, or like a foundation to work from. And then because the UK is situated in within the European kind of region, it's easy to access other European countries, and also countries like further afield. And I think that also really helps me as a person to get my work out there into different places, and to do other things, as I've also done workshops and talks, both here in the UK and internationally. And so I like to talk about my ideas, what inspires my work, and also just listen and be inspired by other countries, other cultures, other ways of doing things. It's just eye-opening, really is eye-opening. So I'm going to talk about, what is a good thing about being a visual artist in the UK. I think for me, is access to materials. I think there's a lot of resources that are in the UK, whether that's, clay, paints, materials. There's a lot of good resources in the UK for artists like myself, and that's really useful and really helpful. There's also opportunities to show my art in different spaces in the UK, whether that's galleries or vacant spaces, or just kind of self-hosted spaces. There's a lot of interesting ways for me, I find, to put my work out there into the world. You know, I've put my work in like libraries. I've hired out like gallery spaces to show my work. And I take my work to markets and stuff like that. So that is really good. That's really helpful. And there's also a lot of artists and creative people working here as well. So it's nice feeling that you're not the only, like for me, that I'm not the only maker in this part of the world. Also other makers, and then sometimes I see them on my travels, to different exhibitions and whatnot. So that's also quite interesting, because sometimes you bump into people I've seen before. Yeah, but what is not so good about living and working as an artist in the UK from my own perspective? Obviously, I'm just basing it on my own experience, and other people might have like a different approach to it. I think some people are still not very accepting to artists in the UK, and people like myself, wanting to make a living from it. There's still a kind of stigma, a kind of otherness about it that people just don't accept. And it's, and obviously it's still not part of like the mainstream way of life for majority people. So I think that's one aspect that I think is not good about, for me, being an artist in the UK, is that kind of stigma around it, I guess. And also some people can be quite judgmental about artists in the UK, and yeah, I feel that's not necessarily like a good thing as well, but also judgmental without the constructive feedback as to why they're being judgmental. And also there's a high focus on landscape art in this country. Obviously, as an island, we are surrounded by the ocean. So there's going to be a lot of inspiration from creative people and artists based in the UK. And there's also a focus on, traditional art. And I that all those kind of forms of art forms are good. But they still have, I often still see quite a big dominance within that spectrum of art here in the UK.
We interrupt this video to plug an ad.
Yeah, so putting this video aside, I'm happy to introduce to you my Black Friday sale, which will be taking place from November 29th to December 10th. So I'm going to be listing a selection of my original artworks, from painting to sculpture. All original handmade artworks is going to be listed on my website, a selection at a special price with 35% off the artworks. And each artwork can be purchased directly through my website and can be shipped anywhere in the world. So if you're interested in that, you're more than welcome to subscribe to my VIP email list, and I'll put the link in the description below, and you can get early access to that Black Friday sale 3 days before it goes public on my website. For me, I'm just doing things that bring me joy in life. Inspiration, introspection, and fulfillment. And I hopefully this can be passed on to you, the viewer, as well. In my life, I've seen people pass away, and this has really made me just step out the box and look at things from the outside and reevaluate what is the meaning of living in this life, and thinking what this life is all about. And the more I think about it, the more I realised everything is just based upon an idea. And then you get to decide how you want to create your own reality. And on the road, I've had my ups, my downs. I realised it's just all a part of life. I've learnt, a lot from it. So art can bring people joy. It can bring people happiness. It can bring people beauty. And it can make people think. And I think art is here and always will be until humans continue to exist. I mean, who knows, maybe there's like other intelligent life out there who also make art in the universe. And maybe one day we'll make contact with them and show us and show them our art. But who knows, I mean, maybe they've already seen it. Do you remember that satellite that's left the orbit of our solar system? Give that one a think. But anyway, I'll leave it there for this video. But I really hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope it's just given you some more insight into my life as an artist living in the UK, because there's so many artists out there, both in the UK and outside of the UK. And I often see a lot of artists on YouTube who are talking about their way of life and their kind of like career. But they're usually coming from, you know, other countries. And so I thought I'd just add to this from my own experience and perspective from myself as a visual artist, making abstract and surreal contemporary ceramic sculpture and painting, as well as, you know, lots of other stuff that I currently work on, yeah, to talk about and just put it out there. So, yeah. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers guys, thanks for watching, bye bye.